I'd like to talk about good estate planning. Good estate planning can be defined as giving your property to the persons that you select in the manner that you select as economically and conveniently as possible. So let's examine those three things in detail. First of all, giving your property to those you select. How do you do that? Well, let's talk about how we transfer property. There are three basic ways to transfer property after you die. One is the probate. A probate is a court proceeding that transfers title to your heirs or your devisees, as the case may be. Probate involves any property that you own in your name only. In other words, it's yours only, and when you die, it has to be transferred to someone else through the probate process. The second way of transferring property when you die is called survivorship property. Now, survivorship property involves things like joint bank accounts, or there are accounts called transfer on death or pay on death accounts. These things transfer by operation of law. That means that there's no probate required. And another thing that happens under this is that even real estate can be transfer on death, because Oregon has just passed a statute that allows transfer on death deeds. Works just like a transfer on death account. And it's a nice tool, and one of those things that's just come up in the legislature. The third thing that we talk about is, as far as transferring property, is property that's in trust. And this involves what we call a living trust. If you transfer property into your trust during your lifetime, then when you die, your trustee can turn around and transfer that property to your beneficiaries without any probate. So those are the three ways: transferring property through probate, survivorship property, and property held in trust. Now then, transferring it in the manner that you select really means establishing conditions for the transfer of your assets. When you use probate, you can do that by creating what's known as a testamentary trust. And that is, you create a trust that doesn't come into existence until you die, and it's written into your will, and it says, hold this property in trust for my child, or however, and then it appoints a trustee, and then after the probate is completed, the trustee can then administer the trust and can limit how the property is to be transferred or distributed to your heir. This kind of thing can be for educational purposes. It might be for just sort of creditor protection for a child. It might even be a situation where you just want to make sure that the child reaches certain goals before they receive whatever distribution they're to receive from the testamentary trust. These are often used in estate planning for tax purposes as well. The other thing that you can do, as far as that is concerned, is in a living trust. And a living trust will allow you to do the same thing, but without the probate. So those are good things in terms of determining the manner of the distribution of your property. And then finally, looking at it as economically and conveniently as possible. First of all, look at probate. It takes probably 9 months on average, and it's court supervised. It's fairly expensive in some instances, and it's a public record. So people sometimes don't like that very much, because it's open to the world. It shows what the assets were, and it shows a copy of the will, and it's a lot of things that some people just don't like to do. So now survivorship property is without probate as well. It has the disadvantage of pretty much giving lump sum payments to whoever gets it. And it doesn't give you much flexibility in terms of the manner of the distribution. But nonetheless, it's a very convenient way to do it, and less expensive than some others. And a lot of times you use that as a tool that goes with trusts or other vehicles for transferring property after you die. And then finally, there's the trust property. And a living trust tends to be very convenient. It's less expensive to administer in most cases. It is a little more expensive to do than a will, but it also adds some convenience because it allows for some lifetime management during your lifetime, say for example if you become incapacitated. So it does two things. It helps distribute your property to you if you need it and you have a trustee, or when you die it gets distributed very conveniently to your heirs or your beneficiaries, and it's completely private. So by using those tools, the survivorship property, probate, and trust property, you can transfer your property to the persons that you select in the manner that you select as conveniently and inexpensively as possible.